Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Scale Riders podcast episode. This is number 213 with my guest here, Dave, all the way in Ventura County. Um, Model car culture from around the world. And man, excited for this one because first time on the podcast, but then he has like so many cool builds that he was just showing me before we got started that I can't wait to see and get to on the showcase. So what's up, Dave? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I again, like I was saying before we started the podcast, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
No, man, you're welcome, man. Thank you for being on the show, dude. This is cool. So, as far as in Ventura County, what part are you located in?
So I grew up in Oxnard, so right next
Mhm.
to the CB base. So I live in Thousand Oaks.
Oh,
The
dope,
wife and I
dope.
moved here like 22 years ago.
Yeah. Oh man, right on. Yeah, I grew up in Oxford as well, but I was talking to with David McGowan. I was telling him, dude, I was born in Port Hueneme, and he's like, oh, I
Dirty
grew up in
Dave.
Port Hueneme too.
I went to Wyckoff High School.
Oh man, no way, that's dope.
So yeah, Wyckoff. So Kamala, then Haydock, and then Wyckoff High.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a trip, dude. So.
Yeah.
Now, and and then like where you're at now in Thousand Oaks, I pass through there when I commute a lot down the 101. So
Well, we didn't come up here from Oxnard.
yeah.
Yeah, this was Richville when I was growing up.
Oh yeah.
But we had the opportunity. We had the opportunity to buy here, and
Yeah.
we were just freshly married. Like, okay, let's go.
Oh, that's what's up.
So,
Yeah, man. And as far as like now that you're in Thousand Oaks, you're in your home, was it easy for you to like say, yo, like this is gonna be my room, like this is where I want my setup to be for model scale modeling?
yeah, I had that for a while. We have a friend of ours who rooms with us because he had lost his place. So we put him up in my hobby room. So I moved all my stuff out, and I'm in the sunroom. You know,
Hmm.
hot during the summer.
Oh yeah, yeah. The builds
I had
probably
a good.
get dry faster that way.
I don't like spraying hot. I don't like hot weather.
Hmm.
I won't. I prefer it cold.
Yeah, man. And then now it's good. We're getting into those days now upcoming,
Hmm.
with the weather changes and all that. So
Well, this will be the first time I'm going to be wanting to shoot hot because I've got to put that on the Corvette. I got first. I've never airbrushed.
oh no way. Did you get
Never.
that at a Coast Airbrush?
Yeah.
The
Yeah. I talked. I got it from Dave.
oh nice, man.
Normally, got to go rattle.
That's
Everything
cool.
I've done is rattle.
Yeah. No, man, that's good. That you got the paint and you want to airbrush. I feel like I still use rattle cans for many purposes when I'm building up my models. But then at some point, once I get to like, all right, let's do the paint. I like to transition into the airbrush. But
Yeah.
at some point later, I start to realize, you know what, I like having both. Like they complement each other and they come in handy, hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, that's a fact. I've got to learn how.
Yeah, man. No, that's pretty cool. And as far as the airbrush, did you have any trouble kind of selecting as to like what kind of airbrush you wanted to use?
No, when I had the hobby shop, um, I had my choice. I just never did anything with them.
Yeah,
So I'm going to start off with, I got a Tamiya that's
yeah.
never been used.
Oh, dude, that's
So,
nice.
so that'll be the one I start off with.
Yeah, yeah. Right on, man. And as far as like scale modeling, every guest I have, I want to know their history. I want to know how'd you get started. Take us back to when you first got introduced to scale modeling.
Oh, my dad actually. My first model, I can tell you which one it was because I just found the kit again. The first kit I ever built was the Revell monogram. Actually, it was monogram at the time. Uh, they had the snap tight aircraft carriers. They were about this big, you know. But I was sick. My dad brought it home, put it on the put it on the tray while I was eating, chicken noodle soup, and put the kit together and started building from there. He had 40 by when he died in 94. I liquidated 4,300 aviation kits in 72nd scale that he had collected.
Man, that's a lot of kids, dude, right there.
Yeah, it took years. I still have kits I've been liquidating since 94.
Yeah. And some of those like aviation kits, did you also build many of them? Did you get into that too, or?
I do build aviation. Not like what you see, with the military, like the full military stuff. I like race planes. I like weird stuff. So a lot of my stuff is shiny race plane modified stuff.
Nice.
But
And like as far as when you were doing like your models, like was there anybody that to this day that you met like back in the day from building?
yeah, well, Bob Maxwell, I don't know if I slot car race. So, Bob Maxwell was always an influence because he knew my dad. There was a couple of guys, for the life of me, I cannot remember their name. My mom was a rehab nurse, so I would go in and see her at work at St. John's. Well, there was a guy who had been in a motorcycle accident, and he was building models in the hospital room. So he kind of influenced me heavily with the way that he was painting and all of that. And his brother, we started doing the Ventura County Fair, and I was demonstrating. I was 18, 19 years old. I was demonstrating at the Ventura County Fair for years with his brother doing that.
Oh, man.
So they as far as the car side of things, yeah, they really expanded my horizon on that. God, I wish I could remember his name. It's been so many years since I've talked to him.
Yeah, it's a trip, man, because you mentioning like St. John's Hospital, it's like back when I was delivering flowers, and I was in there all the time, like constantly walking in, going up the elevator, down to the stairs, and all that. And after a while, you get very familiar with the place, and I'm just like, it's a trip because I could visualize somebody in one of the rooms, like passing time working on a model in there.
Yeah, she worked in rehab, so it's the first story before you get to the main building, which was all the stories. But yeah. But that was car wise. That was one of the biggest influences until I discovered Ed Roth and George Barris and all of that.
When you discovered that, did that just kind of blow your mind, and you were like, "This is like the stuff I'm into"?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
I still have a huge collection of Roth kits. I met Ed Roth. At the Cow Palace before the Grand National moved to LA in, what was it, 99? I believe it was 99 at the Cow Palace, I believe, when I first met him. But yeah, I started pinstriping because of Ed. The way I built my cars, the customizing side of things. That was huge influence.
Yeah. Well, were you kind of like tripping, like when you met him, like you were like, "This is the guy"?
Oh, I'm not one with the hobby shop. I always ran into celebrities up in Santa Barbara, but he was the only one that I geeked out on.
Yeah,
like I went full fanboy on when I met him.
Right on, yeah.
Yeah, I had the chance to see him. Was it my birthday when Moon Eyes used to put on the Ratfink extravaganza at Moon Eyes on oh god, where at their headquarters down south. The cops had just shut it down. I just gotten there. The cops shut it down because people were doing burnouts in front of everybody. That was the last time I saw Ed.
Yeah,
it was at that show in 01.
That's a trip. Tell us, I didn't know you keep mentioning a hobby shop in Santa Barbara. Tell me about that.
So what can you say about a grown man living a 10-year-old's dream? So I had driven back to Missouri, bought a slot car business, brought it back out to the West Coast. I was going to put it into Santa Paula. Fillmore on Central Avenue. The guy backed out on me when I was coming through New Mexico, so I had to put it all in storage. Vern, which I'm sure you know very well,
Yeah.
at Ventura Hobbies.
Ventura Hobbies.
Yeah, so he had sold Santa Barbara Hobbies to a gentleman, and that hobby shop had gone bankrupt. So he was getting it back out of the bankruptcy settlements. And the wife and I had gone in there, and I was going to buy all the fixtures and the models and open up a shop. And we're like, well, this has been here for 58 years. Why don't we just get it going? So we, Vern and I and the wife, we all agreed this is where we're going to go. So we opened it back up. So I had the hobby shop opened 2006, October 2006, and unfortunately had to shut the doors because of the economy. Just December 31st of 2012.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of stuff happened like after that 2006, like 2008,
Yeah.
like 7, 8.
Well, we
9.
were killing it.
Yeah.
During the whole thing, we were killing it, but Santa Barbara didn't feel it until 2010, 2011, and 2012 just wiped me out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I met a lot of, Robert Raymond, I believe on Instagram and maybe on Facebook. He's one of my club brothers in the Sprue Butchers, and matter of fact, he's vice president. And I met him through the shop. He would come in and buy models from me all the time.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. So it's like, you're there, and then that happens, and you're like, what the hell? Like, at that point, it's just that's the only thing you could do is just step away as much as you would want to, like, hold on to
I
it.
had to. It was costing me too much money. I had to walk
Yeah.
away.
And you were commuting back and forth
every day
from Oxnard to Santa Barbara?
No, from Thousand Oaks.
Thousand Oaks. Oh, damn. Yeah, that's more longer drive.
Yeah, 55 minutes door to door. It was a good drive. People were always like, "Oh, that's such a drive." Well, you got ocean on one side, mountains on the other.
Yeah. Right?
You really couldn't argue with it. It was really good.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, here I'll show you something.
Yeah. Let's see.
So I started this, and I really need to finish it. You remember when the 50 chop top Merc came back out by Revell, that new mold?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
the little trophies and all that. Oh man, let's zoom in on that. Let's see.
So I started on this back in 2010 when it first came out, and I haven't finished it yet. I got to get back on it, but
Dude, that's nice. That's awesome. I'm trying to hold my words just so the camera gets on you, but man, that looks amazing right there.
Yeah, this was the predecessor to getting into what we ended up with I don't have it here. Well, here, I'll show you this one. The 60 Starliner, which had the Hemi transplant. Now, truth be told, I didn't paint this body. A buddy of mine had all the House of Color paints, and he squirted the car for me. But everything else, interior and everything, is all done. And this car's been done. This car's been done a long time. It's been in a number of different magazines.
Man, that's cool. Yeah, that's a nice build, dude, right there. And yeah, man, I mean, I feel like what you were saying earlier, wanting to get into airbrushing, it's never too late,
Well, that's exactly it. Now that they're doing, mixing has always been, and it's funny that I am afraid of it as I am, because I worked with Gene Winfield for years. I watched him paint. I was there when Maybelline was done. I worked on Maybelline. I was there. You familiar with the 53 Buick that he did for the president of the Pharaohs out of South Bay, Japan, Purple Haze?
Man, it's hard right now to think.
Yeah,
all you have, but
I watched him paint those in a dirty. We used to do all the body work in the building, and then sweep the building out, hose the floor down, and he'd pull the car in off the dirt lot, and he would just spray. So you would think I would have learned something.
Yeah.
But you don't. But since they're making the premixes, why not?
Yeah, premixes are dope. I when I had started, I remember buying premixes at first, but then after a while, I was like looking more into like, all right, if I want to mix this or get a particular tone, and then I started just like, let's say if I had a pearl, I
Right.
would start applying the candy concentrate into the pearl to give it more of a richer color. Like the same color, like let's say if I had like a pearl blue, then I would put a candy concentrate of blue, and then that blue would be even more richer, like more.
Nice.
It would just like enhance it more. And
Right.
Armando Flores was the one who was like telling me like, hey, you should throw in some some concentrate in there, like a few drops or something. And I'm like, all right. And then I was like, oh man, it's like it's getting brighter.
guys like Armando, the talent that it's hard to go to shows because you get all the talent. It's just like you guys just the paint is amazing. I've got to learn that aspect quickly.
No, yeah, I think like at first it was always like that mystery, right, of getting like of the layering of the paint and all that, and then what made it more intimidating later was the clear coating, because now it was like, oh, I don't want to ruin the paint job. So then after you start to feel comfortable by layering your clear, now the next thing you have to deal with now is polishing.
Yeah, see, I don't. God bless. I wish I can't remember her name. I guess is it Lionheart Motoring? You just interviewed her.
Yes,
Katrina. Is that
Kristen.
right? Kristen. Why do I think? I know her name? Why do I always do that? we got to discussing. I love that bug she did was amazing.
Dude, killed it. Yeah.
That and as short as she's been building to be, but I mean, bro, seriously. But I told her I don't polish my cars. The stuff that you see like the 56, that's all straight out of the can. That's base coat, second coat, multiple clear, and then no rubbing and no buffing. But it's shot cold. 60 degrees or under if I can do it.
Yeah. Damn. I mean the thing is, it's like I feel like you tapped into something, like you have your formula, like the weather, and then just to be able to avoid that's really good.
Yeah, there are points where you have to. The 56 has not seen a polishing pad to get the surface flat.
Yeah.
Neither did the 50.
Dang, that's so clean, dude. I'm all quiet. I'm like, I'm trying to hold my words, dude, but I can see the reflection from when you were turning it in the light, how smooth it is right there. I still remember like the first time just like having to like sand, the down, and then it just gets really like dull, like a matte finish, and just freaking out for a moment, being like, oh, dude, I think I just ruined the car right before my eyes. And then later, going through the rest of the steps to bring it back.
Yeah.
And
all the way to what, 12,000 grit, and then putting polish on the 12,000 grit, and
the compound and all that stuff.
Yeah. I just commented on Instagram. I didn't know that they made buffing pads. I don't know if it was on your. I don't know if it was. I commented on your. It was yours because of that. The black car. Oh my God, that finish!
No, thanks, man. Yeah, so the homie Scott Scale Builds, who I tagged, he was the one of the ones who like he like on one of the episodes he explained how to do it.
Right.
And even beforehand, I had to like consult him many times. Yo, like, what do I need? Like,
Because you
what
can
do
burn the paint pretty quick if you're not
yeah,
careful.
yeah. But the way he explained it, I just said, all right, I'm gonna take the plunge on this car. And I went to the Lowe's there in Oxnard on the
Okay.
Boulevard, and I found the that brand Dremel that they
Yeah.
sell. They have a
Hmm.
micro Dremel. The kit is about, I think at the time it was like $90, but it ranges about 90 to 100.
Okay.
And it's a wireless Dremel, and it's really light and small. So this way you don't have like a cord or anything, like messing with the
Yeah.
weight. And Scott told me, look, when you use this Dremel, put it at the lowest speed, which is like number 5, and you could just just don't keep it in one area, just move it around, and you'll be fine. And obviously avoid like any like edges or
Yeah. Because
corners
it's
like
gonna wear right off.
yeah. So if anything, when I look at the body, I tell myself, all right, what needs to be buff? I mean, like I want for sure the roof, and then
Right.
some of the bigger panels on the side. So it could be like either a fender or a door, something that's just gonna be
Absolutely.
like stand out. Anything that's very small, I'm not really gonna get in there, because that might be like those edges or those like sharp, you know, areas.
Well, yeah. Well, if you do that, if you burn through the paint, now you got to do a patina paint job. Holy,
Right? I remember telling
no
my
offense to anybody out there that likes patina paint jobs. I'm not a fan.
I was telling my homie Casey, like, if anything, I'll probably just put like a decal and then clear it again, just to make it seem like it's a little bumper sticker kind of a
Exactly.
vibe.
Yeah, I did that with. I don't have it. I don't have it with me. It's up in the display case. I did that with a '56 that I built years ago. That was out at the. It was out at the Cruising Nationals.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Dang. Hey, let's get into that Datsun, man. I keep staring at it. I see the back. Show us. I'm gonna zoom in on the screen up there for you. Let's see. Tell us about this car.
So what was it? 2020 when Dedicated did their Datsun build off. So you had to use the pickup truck. I had been introduced to I guess you'd call them the proper name is Bozo Zoco cars. So the big fenders, the big pipes, but I didn't want to do a car. I want to do something I hadn't seen anybody do yet. So the pickup was the right choice. So the front end wound up being a 500 front end. It's the 500 motor that's in it. The fender wells are spoons. So those are bent spoons glued on. Of course, you got to have the pipes. You can't have that kind of car without the pipes. So I did the Pikachu style pipe. Um, the the tonneau covers, actually, I made that decal. So I don't know if you can see the kanji that's on there. So my wife laid it out. We put all the cherry blossoms on there because I called it the cherry blossom special. So the kanji that's on it says cherry blossom special. Um, so this was my first import that I've ever done. I had not done an import before this, so it was a blast. I kind of really enjoyed that. And then the hood, again, I printed out the decal, and then this is actually a Japanese Army squadron kanji from World War II. So I figured, we'll just put it in there just for the heck of it. But yeah, that was a blast. That thing was a hoot.
Man, that's pretty dope, man. That's cool. It's good to hear too, like that one being your first one of an import, that it was
Yeah,
a
that was first
build.
import. And then I think you've seen. I didn't bring it with me, but I think you saw the Fiat 500, the
Mhm.
stanced out Fiat 500.
Yeah. That's a
I
cool little
mean,
thing right there.
yeah. And
Man.
that's because I did this one, that I did that
Mhm.
stanced out 500.
Oh, it was a precursor to that one.
This was the precursor to that one. Yeah.
Dang, that's cool. like when you do a build like that, you're stepping into another genre of build, but then does it just feel good having that freedom of like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then all these ideas just kind of start coming together, and you put it
It,
all out there.
it's weird how that works. I don't like going off reservation. I'm a custom guy. I'm a hot rod guy. But every now and then there's something that just catches you. And it's like, okay, yeah, I got to build that. Like what we're doing with the Iceman build, the Iceman build off right now. I am so far off reservation right now. It's not even funny.
It's like when they say, "Hey, man, I think we gone too deep. We got to go back."
Oh, bro, I have gone beyond too deep. I mean, when I don't use resin parts as a common rule of thumb. The the back half, the back half of the 50, the roof, that's all styrene and putty and mud. The motors, a kit motor. Same with the 56. You guys watched the build of the 56. This is promo parts. This is styrene. This is that type of stuff. With this build off, because everybody does resin. 3D printing is. Having a hard time wrapping my brain around it because I'm so used to scratch making everything to where you can print stuff now. I mean, come on. I got to think. Was it Dog 3 models?
Dutch, yeah.
Yeah, Dutch. So Dutch sent me the 572 with the Holly injection for it. Oh my God, I just posted. Hold on a second. I just posted for him. Yeah, Rust Factory. So, I was having trouble with another resin chassis. I'm not going to say who, but so he sent me his chassis. So I had to widen it a little bit for the body I'm doing. So I'm using 3D parts that I'm not used to doing. So again, prep work and all of that, I'm learning what I've got to do with this stuff.
Dang, that's cool. So yeah, these are like the first like parts you're starting to get and use and prep, and
Yeah,
as far as like stepping into the of use of the 3D.
21st century, as it were.
No, but yeah, it's a trip, man, because in the beginning, I still remember, I was talking to one of my homies that like some years back, maybe like I don't know, 2017, 18. There was only like a couple people who like were like printing, right? And then
Yep.
that was it. And whatever they would print, it was like, all right, this is what's available right now. But it still didn't grab everyone's attention. It was hard to wrap behind it, like our brains. But then
Well,
finally
it
we started to
was.
see some more stuff, and that's when it was like, wait a minute.
Well, it's the quality of the stuff. So the earlier 3D printed stuff was heavy lines. So they had to do
Mhm.
a bunch of sanding. So I don't think it took quite as well as it does now because the machines are, let's be honest, 10 times what they were, and the stuff that's being cast is,
Yeah,
I mean, again, Rush Factory, he hooked me up with a set of artilleries,
nice.
which are going to go on to, they're going to go on to a 41 Lincoln build that I'm going to do. I'm converting the convertible monogram 41
Mhm.
into a business coupe, but I'll do it with a Carson top. But Robert, my buddy Robert, who's again, my club brother, he's been printing like mad 3D
Dang.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, easy. I'm gonna knock stuff down.
Be careful.
Well, it's like everything's precariously perched in here. He's got this belly tanker that
Damn.
that I'm gonna end up doing. It's the stuff that they're able to print now. It's
Yeah,
cool.
no, it is. It is. It's like I just today I received a package from my friend, Slowly Models, and
Mhm.
he put in some sets of wheels, and for like Hot Wheel size, like 164 scale,
Yep.
and then also some for 124 scale. And I was like, man, like these are wheels that I can't find. Like Aoshima don't have these wheels. Like these are just some old school wheels that I could use like on a build, and they're 3D printed. But I'm just excited like to use them in the future.
Yeah, I think after this build, I will probably end up using, especially the motors, in the 3D printed world.
Mhm.
For that Lincoln, I will be doing a Lincoln with Arden heads. So, and I know I think there's a couple of guys out there that have that variant of
Mhm.
motor. So that should be
Dang.
pretty interesting.
Yeah. Let me give out some shout outs because we do have some people
Hell
out
yeah.
in that room. We got Lee all the way in the UK.
Yeah, there you go. Crow Customs, baby.
Yeah. And we do have Slowly Model. Shout out to Slowly, Defect
Nice.
Rat, um, James, let's see, Juarez Custom Builds,
Nice.
and then Jan Flores. So yeah,
Right on.
man.
My boy Lee, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so Lee's all the way out in the UK. How'd you guys connect?
So that is probably the one reason that I am building as much as I am now, is because of Lee. So as Lee Croden, Lee Good from the FFAFF. Are you familiar with that group on Facebook?
No, I'm not.
And Lee may chime in on a chat if I get this wrong. But so the first build they did was a 40 Ford. So as I understand it, the FFAFF stands for, forgive me, I'm ignorant when it comes to podcasts. Is cursing okay or not?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's all good.
So from what I understand, it was friends fucking up a 40 Ford.
All right.
So the FFAFF.
Yeah.
So I found them. I was bored. It's COVID. I've got, I'm at home with the kids and the family, and it's like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I joined their build off, and we did the first one I did with them was the 50. And this was the first car that I truly detailed out and finished in a little under 10 years. I mean, I built smaller stuff, but nothing I kept. I pulled it all apart and used parts for other things. And Lee and I started talking, and we've become friends. I mean, once a week, maybe once every other week, we're Facebook chatting, across the pond, just discussing builds and life and models. It's very interesting. He's become a really good friend, and he's like, I think he told you he's coming out, so he's going to be staying with me to go to the Cruising Nationals at the end of May.
Man, that's dope, man. Yeah, because from speaking with him, he was saying this is gonna be, I believe, his first time, right, coming out to California.
Yeah, it's his first time. Well, it's not his first time coming to the States, but it's the first time on his own.
Yeah.
And we, I talked to him, and he agreed to send out, as I know a lot of guys have seen, his hauler and that 57, because I was a part of that build off. I didn't finish. I was doing, I don't know if you remember the Steve Stanford build I was doing, the 57 with the 58 DeSoto taillights. I messed the body up and stopped. I was so mad.
Dang.
But so I said, you need to send that out. I mean, we've got the SoCal Open the first week in May, and then you're going to be out for the end of May for the Cruising Nationals. Let's get that thing out here. And he took the leap of faith. How he wasn't losing sleep, I'll never know, and he he probably was.
Yeah.
But the stuff made it. It's 100%, and they're ready to go. And then we're excited to have him. We're excited to have him out here. He like I said, he's become a good friend.
Yeah, man, that's cool, man. Yeah, because I mean, I could see how when I see his builds, I see your builds, I could see how you guys click, and also it's just like that. When you're into something with your homie and you're
Yeah.
bouncing the ideas and everything, it's definitely motivating, and when you're
Oh,
like
without a doubt,
building.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that group, I probably wouldn't be. Well, James Laga. So that man is a master when it comes to manipulating images in Photoshop. So he has been a source of inspiration tremendously as well. And so when we did the try the 55, 56, 57 build, which is where cotton candy came from that build. That's based off of a James Laga rendering. It just again it lit that fire. So yeah, I can't speak enough about that group. A great bunch of guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like that Civic, to relate to like that feeling of building and stuff like that. I owe it, to even like my homie Casey who's watching, because it's like, he's out in Australia, he's working on his stuff, I'm working on my stuff, but we're communicating and we're updating each other like, hey, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. The way and we're talking about, even one-on-one skill cards, and we get hyped that next thing you know, it's like every day it's just working on something. And I was telling him the other day, dude, I don't know what it is, man, but I feel like I'm just going through this build, but I'm like in this like state of like happiness or whatever. And then
Yeah, it's
he said
Zen,
something,
man.
he was like, dude, it's like nirvana. And I'm like,
It
dude,
is.
that's the word. That's what it is. Like, I'm not even tripping. Like, even if I would mess up, it's like I feel comfortable that I'm like, I feel like I can correct this,
Right.
so I'm just like, every day I know what I gotta attack, to get
Yeah.
it close, because I'm trying to get that Civic done for the SoCal Open.
That'd
And
be cool to see.
yeah, man, I would definitely want to bring it out. And then it's crazy because, like I said, today I received, those wheels from him.
Right.
So I'm over here opening the box. I don't even know what's in there. And next thing you know, I unwrap the an import car that he just finished building not too long ago.
Oh,
It's this Velside Aoshima kit, and I couldn't believe that I have it. I was like, what the hell? And I was telling him, dude, I'm taking this to SoCal Open. Like,
yep.
it showed up on time. I'm taking it. I'm gonna put it on the table, and I'm gonna put one of your stickers next to it, so people know, like, yo, this is the build you made.
Yep. Absolutely.
So it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to see Lee's builds too, man. There at the show.
Yeah. I've got he sent out, as you know, the hauler and the 57, and then I saw you saw the pictures. So he also sent
Yeah.
out the asymmetric 49 that he did, which again, quite the build. The idea is just it's good stuff. It really is.
That's good, man. Nah, I mean, thank you to both of you guys for sending stuff out, because it's cool, man. It's giving us an opportunity and everyone else to see this at the show.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, it's one thing to see it on Instagram and Facebook and all of that, but with the amount of following that a lot of this stuff gets, the 56 cotton candy. I mean, Don Graham just put it as a cover car in his magazine and did a whole spread on it. I know that Willie is doing the same thing, but seeing the cars there, so you can see the minutia, see the detail, see where the thought process was from the builder to the car. That's a whole different animal.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely, because like you see it. I mean, you could take photos to look at after, but while you're there, you have the chance to see it in person. You take it in, and you're just like, dang, dude. You start seeing all the stuff, and you start to think like, what inspired him? How did he get it to this point? On that
Oh
build.
yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I miss. I used to put on a whole lot of model car shows back in the day. So I started George Barris's car show out of Culver City, back when he did Back to the 50s. I For 3 years running, he asked me to do it. I did it. No, things transpired, and his
Mhm.
daughter got involved, and I got. But Primer Nationals, John Parker, um, of course, Cruising Nationals. So that's the one thing about the model contest. You get to see firsthand what these guys are building.
Yeah.
You get the inspiration from this. So
Dang. How was that experience when you have that responsibility of like hosting your own, the
uh,
model show? How's that like?
I miss it, to be really honest with you. Um, at one point in time through the year, I think I was putting on 6 model contests. So we had Back to the 50s with Barris. We had the Primer Nationals, the Ventura County Fair, um, and then we had Moldy Marvin used to put on the Ratfink Extravaganza. So I would do that. There were a couple of others that I'd done as well. It's labor intensive, but it's a blast. Ribbons, getting all that stuff set up, the promoting. It's a blast. It really is. You get to
Would,
meet a lot of good people.
yeah, would you say would you say that like judging is by far maybe like the difficult part of it when it comes to it?
Oh, judging. It, how do I put this? It depends upon the show.
Mhm.
The judging aspect of things depended upon the show. Some of the shows, like the Primer Nationals, were, best paint, best interior, best rat rod, but and then I have Gene Winfield come in, or George come in and pick best of show, and that type of thing is an easy kind of type of show to do, because it's a personal choice, and most guys hell, Doug Dorr. I don't know if you know Doug Dorr, but he's a pinstriper down in near Anaheim. Known him for 20 odd years. He'd bring his stuff out, his models painted and everything. Um, those type of shows are great, because it's really,
Mhm.
you're not judging the full build, you're judging the characters of the build. But Model Fest,
Mhm.
anything IPMS related, I stayed away from for years.
Yeah,
Um, at
you
that
got to look
point,
at everything.
oh God, at that point, it is meticulous. It's a pain in the backside. But it brings out, well, what was it? The dedicated show. What was that? 21?
The one that they had at the hotel, right?
Yeah, that was
The
21.
one show, yeah.
Yeah.
That had to be, wasn't that had to be like before the pandemic, right?
No,
No. Oh,
no.
you're right. It was after because people were wearing
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
masks. All right, I remember that.
we
Yeah, I
you know.
remember. Okay, you're right.
Yeah. I don't know
Dang.
how those guys judged either, because the
Uh,
talent on the table was
yeah.
astronomical. But
Mm,
no, it's a fun experience.
dang. Yeah, that was a fun show, man. Like it came and it went quick.
Yeah, too
And
quick.
even after like the next year or even months after, people were asking like me like, oh, do you know when the next one is? And I'm like, I don't think there's gonna be the next one here. They were saying that 2 years from now they'll do it in Texas, and then after that another 2 years they'll have it like in the East Coast. So as of right
Really?
now, I don't think they're gonna do anything again like at that time. But the cool thing right now is we got the SoCal Open that they're hosting.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
Well, and then we're going. So I've joined a local group of guys I've known. Again, I've known most of these guys. Dave, Dirty Dave McGowan.
Mhm.
I, I've known these guys for 20, 30 years out here. So there's an IPMS group that is going into the Murphy Museum in Oxnard.
Oh, you're right. You're right. This is gonna be in September, correct?
Correct. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be helping with the car side of things.
Dope,
They're a
dope.
bunch of they're a bunch of rivet counters. They're
Damn.
airplane guys. They're
All
rivet
right, all right.
counters.
Man,
But
yeah, because at the Model Fest, I
mhm,
did obtain a flyer for that
yeah,
event, and time had passed, and I was like looking at the flyer, and I was going like, wait a minute, like this is in Oxnard, what the heck? It's like the first one that's coming
yeah.
up.
Well, we're having a meeting at the Murphy this Saturday to go over the particulars of the show. But yeah,
Yeah,
so we're trying to get as many car guys out there as we can. I
yeah,
already told the group, you guys have got plenty of armor and airplane guys. We need to bring the car contingent back in.
yeah, heck yeah, yeah,
So
because Bill Birch.
I know him if I saw him. It sounds really
Yeah,
familiar.
he comes out to the Model Fest. I think he's vended a couple times that I've seen him there, but I know he reached out to me after the Model Fest, telling me about that show in September, and
Right.
he was like telling me about it. If I could like help promote him, dude, send me the flyers and stuff. Like, I'm down, totally down. What I would really like though is if somehow if you guys have printed copies.
Yeah, they're working on that.
Yeah, it would be dope. I'll be down to like put them in like orders or whatever, and
Oh, that's
just get them
I'll let
out.
them know. That's rad. Hell yeah.
That'd be cool to like just put them in there because yeah, I mean we still got time, but still it's better to just start letting people spreading the word now
Absolutely.
for that event, especially like that first one. That's gonna be a special one, and I do plan on wanting to vend too there at that event.
I think it'll be a good thing for you because there's going to be one hell of a mixture of builders there
Mhm.
between the armor, the aircraft, and
Yeah,
and the cars. I think most vendors will do pretty well as long as the show is promoted properly.
yeah.
That show should be off the hook.
Dang, watch. Let me see. Let me check my while we're talking about that because I know I had got sent. Let's see here. Oh dang! I found the email with the flyer. Let's just plug it away, man. So this is WonderCon 2023,
Yep.
California Dreaming Model Contest and Swap Meet. The address is gonna be 1930 Eastman Avenue in Oxnard, California. Damn, that's like when my father opened up his flower shop. It's like not too far from Eastman. It's up the block right there.
Yeah.
The PCH
Sco-
one.
yeah, Scotia is. I was working for Scotia, so they're right up the street from there.
Mhm.
That museum, the Murphy, if I remember correctly, was across the road in that long white building
Mhm.
behind that new building they're building there off of Rose
Yeah.
and the one. There was the guy used to have a bunch of Delahaye. His brother was a client of mine at the hobby shop.
Dang, that's dope. So this is gonna be September 9, 2023, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Let's see here. It's open to the public. Let's see what else. Yeah, Murphy Auto Museum, man. I'm gonna be posting these up on my stories too.
Cool.
And then later I'll do like just posts and stuff like that. But I think this should be cool because you know what's a trip is like remember back in the day in Oxnard there was that Blue Max Hobbies.
Hell yes. Well, I go as far back as Radio and Sound. Do you remember where Radio and Sound was?
No, I didn't even heard of that place.
Okay.
Okay.
So I knew Don very well. So Don at Blue Max Hobbies, I used to ride my bike from my house to Don's every day. He had in Port Hueneme next to Uncle Herb's.
Okay.
Okay. So there's these little bungalows right behind Uncle Herb's building. And one of those bungalows was what it used to be. Was it Hobby and Sound or Radio and Sound? It was a little hobby shop, and then Don took it over and turned it into the second Blue Max Hobbies.
And that's a trip. All right, man. You got to tell me about Blue Max because look, when I grew up in Lindenwood.
Oh, there you go.
In
All right.
Oxnard. That's the neighborhood where like I grew up in, right? And from there, I would ride my bike to Blue Max Hobbies, which is not too
Hell yeah.
far.
No,
So
it's
so
you're just up the coast highway.
yeah, yeah. And at that time, there wasn't that many buildings. There was a lot of dirt. You know, they hadn't
Yep.
built so much stuff yet. It was very industrial. And I remember like riding my bike over there. I must have been in like junior high around that time. You know, this might have been or maybe no, not even junior high, way before that.
No,
Because
it would have been before. When did you graduate?
yeah, I graduated high school like 2001, but it was
Okay,
like it was
he was gone by
gone.
then.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
gone by then. So, you know, this was in the 90s, and I remember riding my bike, and when I would go to Blue Max next door, I remember there was a liquor store too.
Oh, hey, don't forget about Snooki's
Yeah,
bar and pool hall.
yes, there was like so there was Snooki's, which is well like a strip bar.
Yeah, yeah.
Strip
Well, yeah.
bar.
I think it was a bikini bar. They weren't allowed to do it.
Yeah, there was a bikini bar, and then they had a hobby store next to it.
Yeah,
And then you had a liquor store.
yeah. What a place for a hobby shop.
And then I remember like, you know, going in there and just looking at, you know, that they would sell airplanes, a lot of like RC stuff, but then they had like this wall of like the kits, right?
Yep.
Like an aisle, like they were just stacked on top. And primarily like AMT, Monogram. And you know, at that time, I just remember always seeing like the 58 Impalas, the 62
Yep.
Bel Air kits. Those were always my to-go-tos. Like I would always be buying those kits and everything. And I always wanted, for some reason, because I was a fan of like a 63 Impala, I was like
Sure.
telling them like, oh, I want a 63. And they were like, we're sorry, we don't have that, you know?
Yep.
And like the only Impalas they had was like the 58, the 59 Impala. Later they got like a 65. And I was like, oh man, I
Yeah,
have to
65 was a rare kit. They only re-released it once after the original, I think it was. And then they cut it up and butchered the 65 up and did a short track racer out of the kit.
dang.
So that mold's gone.
That's crazy. And you know, my other friends, they would buy models too, and then we would ride our bikes back and work on them. But I just remember, you know, growing up, I would go to that liquor store next door, and that's where I would pick up the Lowrider bicycle magazines or just
Sure.
magazines. Go home, and you know, like that was the closest thing that I can get to a hobby. I was unaware of hobby shows. I was unaware that, you know, that you guys were out there doing your thing. You know, I had no clue, dude, of nothing. And then time passed, and you know, that place was just like it was done. Like it was
Yeah.
no longer there. And I was like, I didn't know where to buy kits anymore. So then my friend told me, oh, they sell them at Walmart, the one on Rose.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get my kits from there. And it wasn't until later that a friend of mine was like, hey, let's go to the movies. Century 16 off of Datsun.
Century 16.
And
Yep.
I'm like, all right, cool. So we go to the movies and we get there early. And then my friend's like, hey, you guys want to walk around? Like, let's kill some time. There's like a food
And you
court.
stumbled upon Ventura Hobbies,
And
really.
that's how I discovered, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Red Baron Hobbies?
Nah, man, never knew. I never even heard of that.
So,
Red Baron.
so the three hobby shops that were in Ventura County at the time, you had Blue Max, which was your primary. You had Ventura Hobbies it's been in that position, I think, for like 20. Well, I think he's coming up on 30 years in that place now.
Wow.
But and then you had Red Baron Hobbies in Camarillo.
Mm.
And then from there you had Marty's Hobbies in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah.
And then in Santa Barbara, well, in Santa Barbara, you had what was Atkins Hobbies, which became Santa Barbara Hobbies, and then I bought it and it was Hobby Central. And then in Goleta, you had Danny Jin's place, which this will be interesting. Hold on a second. Let me get something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Man, this is crazy.
So
this is pretty cool what you're telling me.
I remember as a kid going into Danny Gint's place. My dad, we went to all the hobby shops. I mean, there was a Hobby Town USA in Carriage Square.
Damn. Before they knocked it down, right?
Yeah, before. Well, no, it's the building where where Toppers is, or Rusty's.
Okay.
It was in the corner over there.
Okay.
I worked at the slot car shop that was on 5 Points, where the Q Club is.
All right.
But anyway, so when I was a kid, we'd go into Danny Gint's place in Goleta, and I always remembered. I don't know if you probably haven't seen the movie. It's Firefox with Clint Eastwood. It was a very specific airplane that he flew. I had to have it. He had something floating over the door. Well, when I was working over at Hobbytown here in Thousand Oaks, the guy who bought Danny Gint's place, I'm like, hey, whatever happened to the, because he's liquidating all the kits. Whatever happened to this model? I described it to him, was hanging over the door. He goes, you know what? I think I still have that. And so he came back the next day.
Oh, wow.
So I was seeing this when I was 8, 9 years old. So 40 odd years ago. So there were so many hobby shops in Ventura County, Santa Barbara County back in the day.
That's a trip. I had no idea, man. And when I had stumbled across Ventura Hobbies, when I walked in, I was like, dude, like now I know that there's still a place where I can get kids and get paint and whatnot, right?
Yep.
And I was just tripping out. I was like, I got to come back here. But during that time, I was still in high school. Like I wasn't even driving yet. I might have been like a sophomore in high school. And living in Oxnard, like I never like really left Oxnard, like
no,
like you wouldn't
you
go
really
like I
never
wouldn't really like my parents, like if I told my parents, oh, take me to Ventura, like we weren't gonna go to Ventura unless the whole family's gonna go to Ventura for something, It was it wasn't really like oh yeah, we'll drop you off and I'll pay. No, that wasn't gonna happen. So it was like the only way later is like later in high school, once with my homies we started skateboarding, and then we heard they build a skate park in parts of Ventura by the mall.
Yep.
That's when we started taking the bus to Ventura, and then
that's hilarious.
We would end up out there, but then again, it's like time went on, and when I was reading one of the like I had never owned the first issue of Lowrider Bicycle magazine. I ended up getting that later as an adult through eBay. And when I was reading it in the first issue of Lowrider Bicycle magazine, in the model section, they feature, they mention the Model Fest.
Yeah.
At that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blown away. Like my mind blew up right there, because I realized this was going down around the time when I was building models, but I had no idea that this was happening.
Yeah, I think if more kids, I used to say this to the parents of the kid that would bring their kids in, trying to get them into something. If I can get one kid to do a hobby, I'm winning the battle. I'm never going to win the war. Technology is always going to be more intriguing. But if you can get them to think, get them to build, use their hands. I mean, so I have 3 kids. I've got an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old. My oldest daughter's been building since she was 2. My son's been building since he was 3. So even though they're into technology, they still now divert back to using the gray matter and building stuff.
That's cool, man. Yeah, my daughter, she's 2. She's gonna be 3 like in August. But like when like we're in the room, like I have my desk set up with all my stuff, and she knows, dude, I leave stuff. She does not touch it, but she knows, and she just stares at it. And she looks at the colors, and I'm showing her like, this is that stuff, but look at the colors, and like I'm just trying to like put it in her head, like these are tools, this is this is that. Yeah. And she just stares at it, and then she just kind of goes, but then she comes back and she looks. Once in a while, she'll give me like one of her stickers, because she wants me to put it on my desk. I'm like, all right, we can stick it on here. So oh man, that's dope. There you go. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
My 4-year-old.
Nice. So yeah, it's one of those things. I know for sure, at some point I'm gonna be like, let's do projects because right now she's getting into like painting with water paint, you
Sure.
know, like on paper and whatnot. She's just exploring. She's seeing like if you dip this in water and you dip it in this, you get this. So it's pretty cool, man. And I know what you mean. I want to do the same. Like I want my daughter to like also build some kits as well.
So, uh, have you shown her? Has she seen the Cars movies?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. Does she kind of dig it?
Yeah, it's because she's we're going through like the Disney movies, right? And we're seeing all the princesses and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now we're jumping into like let's watch Monsters Inc. Now let's watch Cars. Like we're starting to switch it up now. And she's
Okay.
starting to get into it. And she's starting to kind of be kind of like, what the heck? Like what's
If
going
she
on?
latches onto one of the characters,
Mhm.
whether it's from Cars or planes, the model company Svezda, I think I'm saying that right. It's a Czech company. They make snap tights, press togethers that are super simple. I mean, like I said, my 2-year-old at the time put it together. I cut the stuff off the sprue, but she assembled. Um, 3 years old. I don't know if you remember seeing her. We had it out at the dedicated show, the '64 Impala that she painted. You know, uh, whereas yeah,
Oh, let's see it.
to me, I'll go get it. I'll go get it from. I'll show it to you. But to me, a rattle can. 3-year-old. I got video of it. I'll go get. She got best youth at that show.
Damn, that's cool, man.
So they'll learn what you teach them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Just
sir.
there's got to be that spark.
Hmm.
So if they can latch into it, you're off.
Yeah, man, that's cool. And regarding going back to like those hobby shops, like
Yeah.
during that time when a lot of those shops were open, was it one of those things that like did it just be a cool feeling knowing you could go to all these different places that were all in town?
There it was always it was always one of these things with my pop. Don't tell your mother that we're going here. And he so he would always end up buying kits. Drove my mom up a wall. But I knew that if I was going with him, that I'm coming home with one.
Yeah.
So
All right, I won't say nothing, but I want that one.
that's it. I'm good, Dad, but it's gonna cost you that one. Um, yeah, God, the first model contest I ever entered into, I got destroyed.
Mhm.
Absolutely destroyed. I thought I did amazing. And
Yeah.
I got it was at the hobby town there. God, I think I was 10. So 10? Yeah, I might have been 11. I was coming into junior high at that point. Yeah, man, I got wrecked.
When you saw like the kids, was it kind of like I got to go back to the drawing board, or how was? Would you?
No, I quit.
Oh,
I'm like,
really? Yeah.
I'm done. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, no, man, that's crazy. Um, but obviously you don't quit. It's once you've done it, you've done it. I'm actually going to try and recreate that. I'm going to try and recreate that car.
Mhm.
I have all the parts to do it, to
Yeah.
recreate what I built back then. So that will probably be done in the next year or two.
Yeah, man. Did you keep a lot of those kids from back in the day?
No, a lot of the stuff got. If I, it's like I was telling Lee. We had a conversation about this a couple weeks back. I, funny enough, don't have a lot of the stuff I built. If it, I got to a point where I was doing shows where it wasn't, placing third, second, or first by 2 shows. Okay, start pulling parts off of it,
Mm.
toss stuff into boxes, and build something else.
Yeah.
Um, I have the oldest car that I've got that's built that I still have my hands on is when I built in '98. And that was went to an IPMS meeting. So I had rivet counters judging my car. And it took in that show, so I kept that car. And then of course, the 60 that I showed you, and I've got 3 others that I didn't bring out, but I've still got a number of cars that are probably 25 years old that I've
And
kept.
yeah, there's a couple cars I've kept from back then. When I realized, before I stumbled across Ventura Hobbies, when I was buying like my kits from Walmart,
Yep.
I realized at that point, you know what? I think this is gonna be the last model that I'm gonna build. Like, I think I'm done. Like, this is the best level or whatever at the time, right? I thought like this is as good as it's gonna get,
Right.
and I'm gonna go for it with this kid. And at that time, a lot of my friends who I was building with, they weren't building anymore.
Right.
So it was just like my buddy and myself. We got the kids around the same time. We're both working on our kids, and even then, even for him, it was like he was just like he didn't even finish his. He was just kind of like whatever, like about it at that
Yeah.
time.
Well, it's girls, real cars,
Yeah,
and it ain't about sitting at home building.
yeah, man, things change. And then I just remember I had the 67, and I never primered any of my models at that time. I would just get the paint and just spray it, rattle can it.
Right.
And I was using I think it was either Testers or that Boyd
Oh
paint.
God, I miss Boyd paints.
Hmm.
Those paints were dope.
Yeah, I remember seeing them a lot back in the day, like a lot. And I remember like when I said like, all right, I'm done. Like I'm done. I'm not gonna paint anymore. Like after like I finished that model, I still had, I think, like a couple of Boyd cans, and I put them in a box, and I put everything in that box, and I just tucked it away in the garage in my parents' house. And then years later, you know, once I decided, oh, I think I'm gonna go and get back into this. And I opened the box, and those cans were still in there, but
Mhm.
I don't know if I never used them. I never knew if they were still good or what, because they were for more than 10 years, I want to say.
Yeah, you could. The propellant was probably bad, but you could crack cans open and
Mhm.
get them mixed up and put them in something else and probably get them working again. But they're
Yeah.
notorious for blowing out the bottom testers cans.
What happened to
That's-
the company? Did it get bought out, or did it go under, or?
God, no. So what ended up happening is Rust-Oleum bought tester paints, and when they did that, they very slowly started to kick the military paints out. Well, we don't need that. We don't need that. And then all of a sudden they just started on the chopping block. So they got rid of a lot of the lacquers. You remember when they brought out the testers lacquers?
Yeah.
Those are, again, I love those paints. They lay down perfect, especially cold. I'll say that again, cold. Not hot. Don't ever warm your cans. Spray it cold. Um, but they started killing all the lines. So now testers is pretty much gone. You've got they get their basic line. So you're left with what? Tamiya, Gunzi,
Mhm.
if you can get it, and then you got what, SMS, SMS,
Oh yeah, out in Australia. Hmm.
yeah, out of Australia, and then was it Scale Auto Paints out of Utah.
Hmm.
So there's guys in MCW, and these guys are starting to MCW is picking up a lot of the military line. Again, so is I yeah.
I
Where's the
believe
scale?
Splash Paint is supposed to come out. I think they already have military
Yeah,
colors, lacquers as well.
yeah. So the void that testers created with
Mhm.
getting rid of the model master line, getting rid of the lacquer paint line for the paints for the rattle cans. Um, we've got replacements for that stuff, but it's yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be interesting.
yeah, it's a trip, man. Like, there's always gonna be like just changes, like
Yeah,
within
well, there always
the
is.
brands, and yeah, everything keeps like just shifting and changing all the
Yeah,
time. And the the Model Fest, I saw you earlier this year there.
yeah.
How
I
many
was
years
glad you were
have you
there.
been?
I saw you. I'm like, whoa, he's here.
How many years have you been going to that show now? For now,
Oh my God. I've been going to that show since 1992, 93.
dang, and you've never missed the show?
I periodically I've missed the show, but as a
Yeah.
common rule of thumb, no. And I've gone to that show. Well, I started going to the show when it was at the Westlake Hyatt,
Hmm.
and then it went to the Ventura County Fairgrounds, and then it went to Vern moved it to the CAF in Camarillo.
Camarillo, yep. I remember
Mhm.
that one.
And then things went sideways with that nonsense, and back to the fairgrounds you go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been going to that show. Yeah, I would say not 100%, but I'd say not at least 80% of the time I've been going to that show since 1992.
Yeah, it trips you know what tripped me out is that day of the show, right when I'm leaving, right? I look, like when you enter and like Vern's right there with all right away, I see already the flyer for the next year.
Yep,
And
he's
I'm
no
like,
joke.
damn, bro. I was like, damn, we already got I could already book my table for next year.
Yep,
That was pretty
yeah,
cool.
he that's how he operates. He once that show's done, that show's in the books. Let's move on to the next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always good. I've been judging. I've been judging with him
Mhm.
at his show. God, I was assistant superintendent at the Ventura County Fairgrounds for a couple of years, and I was out at the Ventura County Fairgrounds, God, for a dozen, 15 years, somewhere like that,
Yeah.
uh, in the hobby department. Um, but
You
yeah,
always, you always go to man, what's the big show they have at Ventura? The
well,
national.
well, yeah, it was the Primer Nationals, which
Mhm.
is John and Jenny Parker. That was their show. They sold it to, I believe they sold it to a guy named Dave, and it changed from the Primer Nationals to the Ventura Nationals.
Ventura Nationals. Okay. Yeah.
Right. The Primer Nationals was 2 full days, three if I remember correctly, because Friday night it was the bowling alley, and then you had the show Saturday and Sunday. Um, that was again that was great. That's when you had Back to the Beach, you had the Rat Thing extravaganza. I mean that entire time period was amazing.
Yeah. And like now when you go to these shows, like you still find a lot of inspiration in the one-on-one scale cards that are being posted out or premiered.
Not as much anymore. It's
Mhm.
gotten ridiculous. This whole I have a trigger. I have a trigger word, and it's called rat rod.
Mhm.
I can't stand that word. I couldn't
Yeah.
stand it when the guys out of the choppers in Burbank even said
Mhm.
that in Hot Rod magazine.
Rat Rod.
Uh, yeah, I can't stand that word. I'm not a fan
Yeah.
because they call here. So an unfinished custom. Let's say that this was primer. Like I used to drive I had a '52 Buick that was primer with flames. I did the flames, all that stuff. People called it a rat rod because it wasn't
Oh.
painted. They're not calling it a custom.
Uh-huh.
They're calling it a rat rod. It's like, oh my god, no, go away. It's a custom.
Yeah. What the heck? Yeah. Damn, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so you were asking me about my inspirations. So
Mhm.
my dad built car models. He was in Vietnam. You know, he was car guy. Um, so you asked me to bring this one out, and I'll show it to you. So I took the surfboards off the top, but the motor that's in this is a motor that my father built on ship in Vietnam. And so the kit itself, this I picked up for $1 from Chip, who's a good friend of mine out here. He sells models at the shows and whatnot. So this was a bag kit. So I built the bag kit, cut the roof out of it, put the wood spars in. Of course, you got to have the little alligator. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's a little alligator on the seat there. Um, and I threw it together um, to resurrect the motor because the car that he had built Actually, I think I've got that right here. Hold on. Let me open up my box. Sorry.
Go ahead, man. It's all good.
Yeah, here we
oh,
go. So
You got it?
yeah, so there's the original body that my dad did back in, that he did this kit in 60, 68, 69. So I have all the parts to fix it and get it back to the way it was when I remember it as a kid. But that's where the motor came from for that unit. And so, so it stems from way back.
Man, that's cool. That's a trip, man. That's pretty awesome. That the engine, you were able to, use it in this kit right here. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's almost like a collab right there, between you and your dad, like combined right there with that build.
Yeah, I unfortunately lost, when I moved out of the house. I won't get into details, but I lost a lot of his stuff when they cleaned the house out, and they didn't tell me, because I had my room sealed off. So my dad's stuff was in there, my stuff was in there. Somebody had broken in and gotten all the original Hot Wheels that I had and of his, and some other stuff in the models. So there was very few things left over. So I treasure that motor very much. That motor will stay with me and be in many other kits.
Yeah. No, man, that's cool. And then it's something too, you probably, you tell your kids about as well.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Yep. And they've heard about it. They'll never know him, but they've heard of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you show us your bench, man? I keep looking at the bench.
God.
Yeah, it looks like you have a lot of cool stuff right there.
Okay. All right. So don't mind me. I'm going to move the camera. And don't judge. It's dirty. So this is where I end up working. Paint. See if you can see. There's paint rack, tools, spare resin bodies in here, some other goodies and decals here. Soon to be's. My airplane side of things. The proverbial stash, down to the current build I'm doing, and then all the other stuff on this side. Not to mention the shed out back with about 150 kits on top of that. So yeah, this is where I build.
That's cool. And
as messy as it is.
Do you build at night, or how is it? What's your schedule like when it comes to building?
If I'm lucky to get a weekend in, I'll work on Saturday, maybe a Sunday. Usually it's after everybody's gone to bed, and I'll sit out here till like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, man, I can relate, man. That's how I feel. During the day, it's like just work, and my daughter's at daycare, and finally, when the time comes to, all right, let's pick her up, she's back at home. I'm not working on models or nothing. I'm not looking at nothing. I'm disconnected from everything, and then it's not until they're asleep, and it's like, all right, cool, you go do your thing, and I just I'm just.
Let me know if you need something. I'm good, but I'll be out here.
Yeah. You know where to find me.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not that far away. Yeah, that's why the Corvette build is there goes the headlight. It's not done yet. But that's why the Corvette build for the FFAF is taking as long as it is. So that's a 58 Corvette. Let me just drop the headlights out of there. It's still in pieces, but copper insert, 57 Chevy, rear tail sectioned and shrunk to mate with the body line. So then again, that's all the way through. The front headlight assembly and mouth are all based off of the 60? I think it's the 61 style line kit that I pulled this stuff off of. And then 58 Impala center section. I don't have the steering wheel put in, but I've got a separate steering wheel coming off the end, so it's not attached to anything. So it's a floater. And then again, rattle can, no rubbing, no buffing.
That's cool. When it comes to the rattle cans, as far as like the clear, are you using that TS13 from Tamiya?
I like the TS13.
Or is there something different you're using?
Yeah, no, I prefer with my clears, I prefer the Tester's lacquer. Tester's makes just a fantastic clear, and it being a lacquer base, it still applies really well with the. That's not it. That's my decal paint, my decal spray. I don't have one here, I don't think.
And is this a can? Let me see.
So that's the TS13 that you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I just picked up this.
Ooh, I have one of those. I haven't used it yet, but I heard those are dope. But I don't know yet.
Tamiya.
Is it?
Yes.
They just wrap the packaging.
Yeah, this is Tamiya. If you look at the cans are exactly the same. I haven't used it. I'm going to use it. I'm probably going to end up using it on the Corvette.
Yeah, I've seen he's on Instagram, and I believe it's Mr. Model. I want to say he's also in Southern California, and not Mr. Model. It's what am I saying? I can't even remember his Instagram handle right now, but he does a lot of JDM builds, but he does use that spray when he's because he does these videos on YouTube and he's showcasing. And when I saw him, the results he was getting, I'm like, I gotta get that can. So,
I'm gonna have to see. I've heard a lot of. I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
I think it's Model. I think it's Model Mods. The name
might be. I'll look after we're done. I think you're right. But I picked that up at Burbank House of Hobbies. Oh yeah, there was another one. Sorry.
Yeah. Not too far. So Burbank House of Hobbies was already around, right? Around that time.
Oh, Burbank House of Hobbies was around. Has been around for a long time.
Yeah, from like 50s or 60s.
Yeah, from the 50s, and then you had
crazy.
So the stuff, the hobby shops that I used to go to as a kid. So you had Smith Brothers on Reseda, and then from Smith Brothers, then you come into Burbank. You had Burbank House of Hobbies. You had Tony and Addie's, so TNA Hobbies in Burbank as well. I knew Tony. He passed on, unfortunately. I think it's 2020. They'd shut the shop down. It was his mom, it was Addie, and his dad, and then him, and then of course, because we did the IPMS shows, our IPMS meetings out of Space Park in TRW building in Redondo Beach or Manhattan Beach. I think it might be Manhattan Beach. You had all the hobby shops down there, and there's still some of them are still around, but I mean.
Man, that Smith Brothers you mentioned, have they been in the same location from back?
Smith Brothers has been in that location for, I'm gonna say ever. They've been there for a long time.
Dang. Yeah,
they had
I didn't even know about them until maybe like 4 years ago, before the pandemic. I remember one of my friends was like, "Hey, let's check out this hobby shop," because during that time we were just like trying to visit whatever hobby shops were around. And I remember going in and they were like, "Oh yeah, we just acquired this collection from someone who I guess had passed away," and they had a lot of they were still sorting a lot of the open box kits, and if it was missing like parts, they were just like, this one's $5 or $10 or 15, depending what was missing in it. But I was like tripping. I was like, dang, this is like I never knew this place was here. And then we're like getting a bunch of stuff at that time. So like when you from all these years that you've gone to hobby shops, model shows, and like the swap meets and all that, are you not looking for anything specific, but let's say you see someone selling like bumpers or seats or whatever, are those always things you tend to pick up for future so you have options for your customs?
No, I have an affinity right now, and I'll kind of broach it this way. I have an affinity for dare I say bag kits, $5 kits. You know, like that's a customized 60 Starliner sitting in a bag. So I end up going this route because you can get stuff that people haven't used, and a lot of people don't use the custom parts. So what you end up with is all the really good custom parts for really cheap.
No, yeah, man. Especially, yeah, getting a grab bags like that. I picked some up a while back from he's a vendor. I believe his name is Cruz.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, David Cruz. Yeah,
Dude,
and
he and his wife are great.
yeah, and like in the bottom of the tables,
Yeah, hell yeah.
the bag kits, and I would rarely see people digging down there, and I would be like when I had just met him, and I'm like picking and just grabbing stuff and finding stuff.
Yeah. That's where I got this one. Was David had gotten a bunch of kits, and this was just sitting in one of the bags. You know, I'm like, okay, it's got a hell of a lot of potential. The roof line's got to be changed. So I've got another roof. I can change the A-pillars and get the A-pillars right. Dude, $2? Are you kidding? With all the parts? Yeah, I mean, David's great. Most of the guys at the swap meets, you run into them. They're all just salt of the earth people. Same with the guys that build. I mean, there's very few people that are pompous, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everyone's pretty chill. It's not like oh, don't go over there, you can't talk to that dude or whatever. Like you got to talk to him first before you get to him. You know?
we all know guys like that though.
You got to talk to 3 people before you can get to him.
Yeah.
Like, damn, all right.
The Don. Yeah, you got to go through the consigliere before you get to the Don.
The Don just sitting there with a handout, holding a cane.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Dang. So
yeah, man.
So Lee's coming out. What are you guys doing when he comes out? Are you guys? You mentioned the show. Tell us about the show that you guys.
Yeah. So Don Graham has put on that show for years. I started going out to that show in '90. What was it? I started working for Gene Winfield in '97. I went from working for Valley Head Service in Northridge with the guys there building race engines. I ran into Gene, and he was one of my idols too in the customizing world. I ran into him out at the Cruisers Car Wash off of Tampa, and so I go, you know, I'd love to work with you. He's like, well, just come on over. So I I wasn't real nice, unfortunately. When I quit, and I should have given Larry a little more time. And Larry's a great guy, and anytime we see each other at shows, it's always hugs. He's a great guy. Love Larry Ofria to death. But so I went to work for Gene, and it was out on Eaton Street off of Sherman Way at his shop. So that was the first time I started going to that show, was when I was working for him. So, you know, I helped with the reactor rebuild. My wife at the time got to ride in the Strip Star, Maybelline, you know. So Don has always put the car shows, the model contest on there. This one sweeped the show. This one took everything, including best of show, that you know, the year I took it out there. At that point I retired it, obviously. But so he puts on the model contest every year. So Lee and I were talking because I had taken the FFAF build, the 50 Ford, to the last show, And we got to talking, and I'm like, well, it's coming up. Everybody's seeing your stuff. I go, dude, see about coming out. And so one thing led to another, and he's like, yeah, okay, sure. Okay. And I said, you can crash at my place. It's all good. You know what? So what we'll do is, so he's flying in on the 24th. And then, so I've already booked the hotel up there. So we're going to go up the 26th for the cruise. And then the 27th is the model contest and car show. So, you know, John DiAgostino is going to be there. Keith Wiesner, Gene, you know, there's going to be a bunch of big name customizers and stuff out there. And so it's a bucket list. It's a bucket list, you know, trip for him. So we're going to do that, do the show, and then do a SoCal circuit with the hobby shops. And, you know, he wants to meet up with you. I know he's talked to you about that. And just meeting up with all the guys that he can down here while he's here. And then he flies out again the beginning of June.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, I know most likely like probably after that show that you guys are gonna be out there, I'll be able to link up with you guys.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be dope. Great. I think it'd be cool for us to definitely link up, you know.
Well, the goal is to get him to all the big hobby shops in Southern California, the Peterson Museum. Pardon me a sec. I know that he's trying to get a hold of Dave Sutton over at Galpin to see if we can see the museum and all the stuff there, because there's some bucket list cars for him there that he wants to see.
That Galpin, that's it's right off the freeway, right? Which freeway is it?
Yeah, off of Roscoe.
Okay.
Yeah, in the valley, off the 405.
Yeah, 405. There you go. I've been there once. That's a nice place.
Hell yeah.
Museum.
Yeah, and with him, with Dave curating it, you know, it will, hopefully we can get him, you know, we can get him in there to see that stuff while he's here.
Yeah, I mean, dang, just gotta show him, be like, dude, check out the kind of work I do. You know, I'm coming from the UK, and this and
well,
that.
exactly. You know, he's the beauty of it is he's got an in with, you know, I think he talks with him off and on.
Oh, okay.
Through Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, man, because that'd be very inspirational to be able to come out and see this stuff, take it in.
He's gonna have a hoot. I'm beyond happy for him.
Yeah, dude. I originally thought that Lee was from out here when I saw his work.
Well, his styling is very Southern California.
Yeah,
his styling, you know, with the whole bubble top thing, and I know Lee's watching it. Dang it, Lee, because of you, I'm doing bubbles. But you know, his style is very early to mid 60s bubble style stuff, and it's impeccable. I mean, let's be honest, it's period correct, which is great. I love it.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be exciting. Because you know, I do see him too. Like he's been posting like all the work he's been putting in.
Well, you see that Buick he's building?
Yeah. I don't know. I always get excited when I see his updates with like, you know, because you get to see the befores and then the afters, and you go, oh wait, what the heck? And sometimes you do recognize some parts that he's using, and you go, wait a minute, I remember seeing that in his kit, or like, oh, he's gonna use it like that. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, and exactly. I mean, you look at the dash in that he used, and to be brutally honest, that's where I've got stole my idea with the floating steering wheel. So if you look at his cruiser, the hauler and his 57, the way he's got the steering column set, it looks like you could do like the old Beechcraft aircraft could. You could switch the control over to the co-pilot and take a break. Very cool. I mean, you know, I sit there and look at that. It's inspirational, because I don't think that way.
Yeah.
And because of that group, because of the camaraderie that has come from those in the group, and Lee especially, and then it's very interesting to watch other people work and go, man, I didn't think about that. I should have done that.
When you received these models and you were looking at them, were you like tripping out, like just seeing them, like, dude, they're here?
I'll be honest, my heart sank when I got them, because I heard, it's like that doesn't, got them out. They were perfect. He held a lot of it together, thankfully, with white glue, which saved a lot of it. So they're beautiful. His builds, again, the inspiration. You can't get into somebody's head that much. It's very cool to see that stuff work. The asymmetrical 49 that I've got in my hands right now. Looking at that, I'm like, okay, so now I'm inspired to do a channel job. Now I'll channel a 49.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. I know you guys are gonna like hit up a lot of spots. I hope he brings like extra luggage, like a bigger luggage, to be able to like bring all that stuff home.
I think he's got it pretty well planned out, where he's going to be taking the hauler and the I think he's bringing out one or two others for the show. Okay. On top of what he already sent out.
Yeah.
So that's all got to go back with him, and he's going to keep those as carry on, as I understand it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he's going to be able to, or if he's going to be wanting to, or send stuff via FedEx or whatever, or postal service to get to him. Yeah. But I think he's going to find it very hard not to pick up stuff when he's out here. Yeah. I know he's going. I know we're going to Pegasus, and he's going to stock up because he's got his buddies over there. He's going to stock up on rims.
Yeah, they're waiting on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does use a lot of like the wheels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny. I was going to send him out. I'd gone to Pegasus because he had sent me something that he can only be gotten in the UK. They won't ship to the US. Let me it's something he built. I was just jonesing over when I saw it. Which is it's a Chinese cabinet. If you go look at his on his Instagram page, you'll see it. It's a little Chinese cabinet, and it's 1/24 scale. Well, you've got all the little characters and the phones and all the custom tchotchkes out of the older kits. And he's sitting there putting them on the. I'm like, that's way too cool. I have to have that. So he sent this out to me, and I was going to send him back. I'm holding off now since he's coming out. But Sprue Butchers club plaque for our model club, and then of course all the Pegasus wheels that I picked up to send out to him. So when he gets here, he's got care package waiting.
That's awesome, man. Tell us about Sprue Butchers.
The Sprue Butchers.
Yeah. Tell us about it, because I've seen you rock the shirt.
Oh, I rock the shirt, and I will rock the shirt till the day I die.
Yeah. Do you have them near there to show like the logo?
I don't. I don't have my Sprue Butcher shirt on because it was dirty.
We'll share it later in the stories, if not.
Actually, yeah, that's fine. But let me see if you can. I don't think you can see it.
Yeah,
you can pull it. I'll send you the image.
Okay.
So the Sprue Butchers. So Robert Raymond, again, met him when I had the hobby shop. He just salt of the earth guy, just really good modeler. So we've always kept in contact one way or the other. We've seen each other's shows, and we've had a phone number and whatnot after I lost the shop and whatnot. And we were talking back in 20. It's like, dude, we got to do a hobby, a model club. Just guys that are like-minded and think like us in custom world. So we were trying to come up with a name, and you have the auto butchers out of East LA, which they have a butcher knife and the logo. So we kind of borrowed that theme, but you can't call it Auto Butchers. You can't step on another club's name. You just can't do it. And then Facebook, they have the model butchers. So it's like, you can't do, it's like, no, that's just corny. So, because we modify the crap out of everything, we're constantly cutting sprue. I'm like, oh, okay, well, why don't we just call it the Sprue Butchers? So the logo, so that's why you see me rock the logo. So it's 2 X-Acto knives, number 11 blades with blood off the tip of one of the blades, because you stick yourself with the blade every time anyway. And so that was the birth of that club. Lee, I think, wound up being, Chewy was our 3rd member between after us 2, and then you had Lee come on board. So Lee, and then Yoshihiro. I don't know if you've seen his work. The guy's just absolutely amazing. Yoshihiro Habara.
Where's he based out of?
Japan.
Oh, okay.
So his Instagram handle is, I think, Terry Habara.
Terry Habara. Okay.
Yeah, look him up. I mean, the man is a monster when it comes to building just accurate customs. Like the stuff you saw in the stuff you saw in the little pages that I live my life by building customs. The stuff you saw in this, he just got done building. You gotta look. Everybody's watching. You need to look at Terry's stuff. It's phenomenal. If you're on Facebook, it's Yoshihiro Habara. So we asked him to come on board, and then Furby Miguel, we have him, and God, I'm drawing a blank right now. So rude. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Lee Goody. Well, I call him Goody because his last name has an E and it's good with an E. But so Lee, and then Rick Hoving, big auto restyler, Custom Chronicles, that type of stuff. So it's just a bunch of guys that do customs and hot rods, like-minded guys.
That's
and
dope.
we're all over the place. Like I said, Japan, the UK, Australia, Netherlands, California, Texas, Tennessee. Oh yeah, James Texas Scott is another one of our guys. And then we brought on a couple of new ones. Tommy, can't remember his last name, but that guy's a building fiend too. He's been posting like crazy with all his builds lately. So,
nah, that's cool, man. That's dope. Yeah, because I remember seeing the your shirt and I was like, oh, that's pretty dope when I saw the logo and the knives and everything.
God, I apologize. I really should have had, and that's a failing on my part. I should have had the logo handy.
Yeah, that's all good. It's all good. We could always share it on Instagram, so
yeah,
people could check that out. I want people to see that on there. That's pretty neat.
The logo's dope. My wife designed it, and I said, no, we got to do this, got to do this, got to have this, and no, that was great.
That's cool.
We're actually going to have 4 of us. I think 4 of us at the Cruising Nationals this year. So 4 of the members should be together. Yeah.
Nice. Everyone rocking the club shirt.
Absolutely.
You gotta get some photos. You gotta get
without a doubt. Without a doubt. That, and again, the FFAFF group off of Facebook, we're all members of that too. So so now you've got that.
That's tight.
Did you go to I don't remember if I saw you or not. Did you go to the Grand National Roadster Show this year?
Not this year, no. I missed it. Yeah,
that was a good show.
I heard there was like a lot of cool stuff at that one.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of good stuff on the tables. Jesse Walker
from Texas.
Yep, Hmm. They're MCBA boys, right?
I don't know. I don't know if he's MCB or he might be from man. See, now I'm drawing a blank from Texas.
Yeah, I want to
The
say
crew
it's
from
MC.
Detail Junkies crew.
Well, I know he's Detail Junkies, but I think he's also MCBA because
Okay, okay.
uh, they had blessed me with uh, that honorary plaque that they had for one of their members that was
Oh,
heavily
dope.
into
Yeah, yeah.
cracking doors open and just filleting the car completely.
Mhm.
Um, so a big thank you to those guys. I can't
Yeah.
that floored me.
Oh, that's dope, man. That's cool. Yeah, earlier right now when you were talking, you showed that little booklet. It's like
Yeah.
a little mini magazine, right?
Okay. So all right. So for those of us in the custom world, these are these are Bibles. Um, so this is 1958 Carcraft magazine. These were known as mini pages. They actually kind of outlawed these because high school kids would stick them in their books and read these instead of their curriculum in class. But I mean, you had you know expanded metal grills, featured and Rod and Custom magazine, 1954. You know, um, Midwest Rod and Custom. So you get this allows us to keep to the traditional side of customizing and the hot rod world and all of that. So I live in build, but you'll recognize that. That's the 32.5 window that Revell puts out is based off of that car. Um, Von Dutch, first paint job and pinstriping. And then of course the inspiration for the 50 that I did. So it's these are living Bibles to custom cars. So that's where a lot of, and Lee, I know Lee, I think Lee's got a bunch of these too.
Yeah, I remember
That's
to the Ventura Nationals some years back, and like inside of those rooms where all the vendors are set up.
mhm.
Uh, and I remember going into one of those halls, and there was like people selling the magazines, and there was like a rack. In that rack, it was like a spindle rack, and it was just full of them,
Oh yeah.
of those magazines. And people, I mean, you see people picking them up and grabbing them, and I was like, dang, people are going crazy for those little magazines.
It's because you had a lot of stuff that George Barris did a lot of um, photography work, so a lot of his stuff wound up being put into the little pages, and then you had, of course, the standard guys with Hot Rod Magazine, with Carcraft Magazine. So this is all just the visual history of how you get to the ideas to do this.
Mm.
Um, the ideas, you know, to help you get along to get into the bubble stuff. I mean, it's, I was raised on it.
That's cool. Do you ever still need to like fill in like those empty holes, like the issues that you might have missed in the past?
Yes, I go through I go through times where I'll purge. I'm like, okay, time to go, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, damn it, I need that one. I gotta buy that
Yeah.
one back. Yes. So I just bought about 6 or 7 months ago. A guy up the street had a lot of hot rod and carcraft magazines from starting in the early '60s through to the '90s,
Dang.
about 350 plus,
Mhm.
and I picked them up for $50, and they're all in sleeves.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all, and it's like, what am I going to do with all those damn things? But again, it's reference. If I want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah. That's
if I want to
crazy.
do an '80s custom truck, if I want to do an '80s El Camino or something, there's my reference points.
Hmm. Dang. So like he like collected them. I'm assuming he read them and he protected them in the sleeves and he took care of them
Yeah.
all these years. And then at the end, he's just like, just take it off for 50.
Yeah. Yeah. No joke.
It's crazy. Yeah.
You know, um,
Yeah, he was over it. He was like, I
yeah, he
got
was over it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and his old lady were over it. I think his old lady was over it more than he was.
Oh yeah. I remember yeah, I remember back then like collecting, I was getting a Vice magazine, but when it was an actual magazine, like
Yeah.
now it's like, there's a YouTube channel on HBO, but way before all that, it was like a physical magazine. Like there were free issues that I would get at record stores.
Wow.
And I was like stacking, and I had a big stack of Vice magazines, and I would read them and just look at. I wanted to see more of the music, like
Hmm.
reviews of stuff, and I hoarded these magazines for years, and they had so many volumes of their magazines, and at some point I started to buy some, and even though they were free, I'm almost buying them in the secondary market, but
Yep.
eventually, like I had them in a box, and this box was heavy.
You're
And
done moving them.
yeah, I was like, I don't even know where to put these. They're just in the way. And I told friends, hey, do you want these? And they were like, nah, we don't want that. So
Yeah.
then it just ended up me just tossing it in the trash. I was over them.
Well, and because I had the hobby shop, I had that a lot. I'd have guys that were in the trains, like my father was. I mean, I'm still, I'm going to my mom's house probably in the next couple of weeks to start going through more stuff. Train magazines. It was huge from the 30s into the 60s, and then it started to tapering off into the 70s and 80s, and you get into 90s and 2000, and you're just a bunch of guys that there's very few guys that are starting to do it.
Mhm.
You can't give away train magazines. Nobody gives a shit,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's unfortunately, with the younger generations,
Hmm.
as they're coming up, they're not understanding this. So the market will peak on these, and people are going to be throwing them away again.
Yeah.
Um, it's cyclical, unfortunately.
Hmm. Man, that's crazy. And
But
and as far as like your builds,
yeah.
when you get one done, I know like do you ever take a break and kind of reset for a minute, or are you just back on the horse, let's say?
Oh God. Normally, I would take a break and not build for another year. I'm good with one a year.
Yeah, yeah, like, that's it.
I'm good with one a year.
Too much. It's
Um,
too much.
so let's kind of, I'll aim this down so everybody can see. Okay. So 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2023. Where's my other one? Yeah, my little schlock rod way up there. 2023. So this year, after all the builds that we were doing with the FFAFF, we thought we were going to take a break and not build. And they're like, no, we'll do the Corvette. And again, Lee inspired with the bubble top. I'm like, okay, I'll play. Let's go. And then, of course, Iceman and all of that stuff. And I couldn't take the 72 Blazer. They wouldn't let me take the 72 Blazer, put a 69 hood on it, put a 69 grill on it, and do a patina paint job and 21-inch stock, rims that look like stock hubcaps. So like, no, you can't do that. So I'm like, okay. So I found a rendering of somebody did a C. It's like it was a C10. They called it the C28, which has the Camaro front clip, the Camaro body lines, Camaro front end on a C cab. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I'm not going to buy a 72 C10 to build it. I'm like, how am I going to get around this? Okay, I'll just take the Blazer, and instead of calling it a C28, I'm calling it a K28 because it's a K10 Blazer anyway. So Camaro front clip. Let me get the hood on here. I gotta build a support structure, but so Camaro hood, rounded to match the body. Whoops, probably. Rounded to match the body. Spliced them in so that it gets the look of what that was, and that's the inspiration. I saw that, I'm like, okay, that crosses over, it achieves what I want to do. All right, let's go.
Yeah, that's different. That's pretty dope. I've never seen anything like that. You know, you see your photos on Instagram, and I'm like, damn, like you can see the cuts and everywhere, you know.
Yeah, I love to butcher things. Again, it goes down to sprue butchery.
Mhm.
You know, splice and dice. Not going to, try not to do as much 3D printed stuff as possible,
No box
because you can
stuff.
get the fender flares and all of that.
Oh yeah. To add on there.
But so the body line, that's Bondo.
Damn,
So that's
Bondo and a lot of sanding.
Bondo and a lot of sanding to get that in that
Yeah,
body
get that
line
shape.
straight as an arrow, and that's probably 45 minutes of sanding.
Yeah, what do you use as far as like a Bondo or putty to shape stuff?
Just good old automotive Bondo.
Nice. And is it like a two-part? Like you have to mix it with something else, or is it just, oh, there you go,
Mhm.
a little piece?
Little blue hardener and gray putty.
Yeah, dang. And how long when it settles, when you start working it, like, is it in hours or is it like the next day?
No, God, no. Depending upon how hot you mix it. Again, that's one of the things I learned from Gene.
Yeah.
I learned how to mud and all that. So depending upon how you mix the hardener, it depends upon how long, it'll determine how long it sets. So the hotter the mixture, the shorter the work time, but the quicker you can start sanding. The longer it takes, the more adhesion you get, but the shorter it takes even longer to be able to sand it. So from when I put the mud on the body, so I could address the body panel line, from when I did that to where you see it right now, which is significantly far away from being anywhere close to having being where I want it. That's about an hour and a half. It was set. It was set within 15 minutes. I let it. It needs to be just tacky enough, 220 grit to cut away all the heavy stuff, and then back down grits.
Dang. So is that what you call it, mudding, when you're applying?
Yeah, you're mudding. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's literally like
I
mud.
never heard that, so that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah, you're laying mud. It's because it's the consistency of a good heavy duty mud, and you're just smearing it on, getting the contours, being able to, it's basically like working regular putty. There's no difference between it and like the old squadron. Well, there is a bunch difference, but it's still the same theory. You're shaping with the Tamiya putty. You're shaping with the squadron putty. This just gives you a little bit heavier platform to be able to create bigger shapes. Let me pull this out here. The other thing that I like to use a lot of is this. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. That's better. Let's see, epoxy sculpt. So two-part epoxy. So you mix these two together and you can hand shape everything.
Is that like a clear, like a gel kind of material?
It's a clayish material.
Oh, okay. Dang. Yeah, I've never used that.
It's a lot of fun because you can, again, the more hardener you put into it, the faster it sets. It's real temperamental. You can't put too little or it doesn't dry. But you can. I gross people out when I say this, but when I shape a panel, like the back panels, all of this was extended to address the light. So that was all extended and widened. So there's plastic behind it, but all the filler in here and in here is all that two-part epoxy, and you can either use water. If you have water, you can use it and wipe it off with your hand, and it'll actually come off in shape. So then you're not having to do heavy sanding. You just hit it with a 500 grit and go from there.
Yeah. I had another question. Like, I've heard people say, I did a pie cut like on the hood.
Yeah.
What does that?
I
What's
was
the
going to do that.
definition for that, or like what is that for those that don't know?
So real easy. So matter of fact, let me break out with the other hood. I'll show you. Well, I can do it on here. So if you have, I'll draw it out and I'll show you. So if you have a hood and you want to bring the front end of the hood down, but you don't want to cut the entire hood. What you're going to do is you're going to take 2 points, and I'll draw it like this. Let me draw it out for you. And it's just like making a pizza pie. So you're going to cut the piece like this. Now it's a little bit aggressive because you want to carry it back a little further. So what you're doing is you're eliminating that center piece, which will then bring this piece down and meet up with the bottom piece, thus shrinking your hood. So you're doing a pie cut. I did a pie cut on the roof on the 50. So let's see, I just don't want to drop her. So the roof line here is 1949 Ford. The back half is 1955 Pontiac. Well, it's too wide. So you have to take and slice at an angle. So you got your center line. However you want to move, however much you want to shrink it. So if it's, let's say it's an eighth of an inch off here, an eighth of an inch off here. Well, you're going to cut that measurement in half on either side and shrink it. That's going to give you your overall eighth of an inch variation to shrink the top. And that's a pie cut. So it's or known as a wedge cut.
Nice. Yeah. So like for like the pie cut, wedge cut, I didn't know you could do that on the roof. I always thought it was just like the hood, or because you can do it on the trunk too, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, the guys that do bombs, if you go and take you can pie cut or wedge cut the 51 Chevy, because it's got that bump of a trunk. Well, if you lay it down, you can take and cut a wedge cut out of it, so that you're cutting. So you got to cut that out. You know what it's going to do? You're shrinking that spot, so it lays that down.
Man, that's interesting. Yeah, because I didn't know it was like that. Kind of like, like if you're cutting a pie, like to like a triangle.
Yeah.
And
Depending upon the degree of that cut, or how much you want to shrink that cut to achieve the look, it's just you're just got to make sure that your math is right between how far you want to come down to how much you have to cut out.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, that makes total sense the way you drew it out right there. I was like, oh man. For some reason, I didn't think it was like that, like that triangle. I almost thought like you follow the hood like curve, like cut a section.
Yeah, you can do it flat. Correct. Depending upon my roof was a triangle, so that it brought the edges together flat. On a hood, you're flat, so you're cutting out this section to bring the hood to lay down, so that you have it look like that instead of being up like this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is flat, and the wedge is the angle you're cutting out and removing this section to bring this down.
Man, that's pretty dope, man. That's a trip. You've taken me down memory lane. Paint cold.
Yes, paint cold, people.
Yeah.
If you think I'm joking, I'll send you a video.
Dang. And then also like the weather back in like Oxnard, Ventura, it's always cold. How is it there? Is it kind of the same in Thousand Oaks?
No, so I miss Oxnard weather.
Yeah.
My wife does not. Where being in Thousand Oaks, the Conejo Valley, this is kind of it's a caldera. This is an old volcano. So it's a bowl. So when it gets really hot and there's no offshore breeze,
Yeah.
it gets stagnant here.
Yeah.
It gets really hot, but because we're close enough to the hill, we still get a lot of the coastal breeze. We get the fog most nights, so it's beautiful. You can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Ventura County, look, let's be honest. Ventura County in California, there's nothing better than Ventura County. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I might be partial. What can I say?
I miss it, dude. Yeah, I feel the heat out here. I'm like, dang, I want to.
Yeah, you're out where again?
I'm in like an Alhambra area.
Oh, so if you're in Alhambra, my friend owns the oldest hobby distributorship in the country.
That's out here, right?
Yeah, Cal Hobby.
Dude, I remember I looked up like back then, like distributors, and this spot popped up, and it was like Alhambra.
Yeah.
But, I never hit them up because I was about to, but then like the website had all these like, you need this, you need this, you need this, and I was like, dang.
She's a little lean. The industry's not been kind, so but her family's owned that distributorship for 115 years.
Dang, yeah, I passed through it because it's not too far from where I'm at, and I was like, man, I wouldn't mind taking a little tour or just like popping in and saying what's up.
If you want to do that, you let me know. Marta is an absolute doll. She's a sweetheart. I go in there if I want to. When she gets damaged kits, I'll go in there and I'll go. Did you already get? Okay, I'll pay you for those. I'll take those.
Yeah. I'll snag those.
You know, yeah. If you want to, we'll talk. If I'm up in that neck of the woods, hit me up and we'll meet up over there and I'll walk you through.
So it's one of the largest ones.
Well, it's the oldest. You know, I mean, you've got Horizon Hobby has taken over the world. They were out to destroy us early. Same with Great Plains. But Marta being an independent, her family, I missed that. I'd go down there once a week. I'd do a once a week run to that Sentai, to her Sentai, and then back up to my shop. Yeah, she's still around. If you want to go, hit me up. I'll take you out there. It'd
be pretty cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, because it's not too far. Because I remember looking it up and being like, damn, that spot's like right here. It's like super close, you know.
And she respects the hobby shops. She will not sell to the public. Period. End of sentence.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Because I think what it was too on the site, I don't think she would sell to even like online stores too. Like it had to be brick and mortar. But I don't.
It has to be brick and mortar.
But it did strictly say brick and mortar, and that was the part that I was like, oh dang, well I'm not brick and mortar. Yeah. In the future, I'll be like, I'll see you in 5 years, Marta. 10 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, brick and mortars anymore, man. That's a tough gig. That's a tough gig.
It is. Nah, it definitely is, man. It's a trip. I still trip out, like, like some places have been around, for so long and they're still there and they're just doing their thing.
Well, it's because one, they've got the built clientele. Two, the people who are running it aren't the kids. It's the originals. When the kids get involved is when everything goes sideways.
Yeah.
So, and well, it's like Brookhurst. You look at Brookhurst Hobbies is not what I remember as a kid by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I've been there once back then. Because when I used to visit family in Anaheim, and I used to be like, well, hey, take me to, is there like a hobby store around here or what, And it was like, oh, there's this one spot. And then, I don't know, that was like a while back.
Yeah, that one's changed because it changed hands. Yeah. But
yeah, things change, man. It's crazy. Like you said, either kids take over or someone new comes in with new ideas and they don't work. Like sometimes,
the old ideas are usually the best.
Yeah. Yeah, if it lasted this long, like why do you want to change it? Just keep that formula going.
Yeah, that's usually the goal, but they you know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, dude,
Um, but yeah, hell,
that's
just
crazy,
trying to
man.
think of what else. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
lots
man.
of
No,
fun in this
I mean,
hobby.
I think we covered a lot of stuff. I think if anything in the future, it'd be kind of cool to get you and Lee on together, like as a follow up in the
Oh
future.
hell yeah,
That'd be pretty fun.
I think that'd be great. Um,
Yeah, because I mean,
yeah,
it's gonna these coming weeks, man. We're not too far away. It's gonna be fun. SoCal Open, May
yep,
7th. That's on a Sunday.
yep, great show.
Yeah, great show 1 week before Mother's Day. So
Yep,
it's like,
until Mama doesn't get mad.
yeah, it's like, all right, you go do your thing that day, and then next Sunday, that's my day.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
absolutely right.
yeah, so we'll be there. I'll most likely, I'll be seeing you there. I'll be seeing Lee's cars there as well.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
that should be a fun show right there. Do you want to give any shout outs before we wrap this episode up, Gabe?
Yeah, I obviously first and foremost, my club brothers, Robert, Lee, Mr. Goody in Australia, Habara, um, and I'm gonna have to do it. I'm sorry, guys. My wife for letting me play around. She's very understanding about this stuff, so I don't get any guff out of it. So it's to her, God bless her for letting me play. Um, other than that, thank you for considering me worthy enough to be on your show, on your podcast. That's awesome.
Nah, man, thank you, man, for it was this was fun. This was cool that we got together to chat and like you took me down memory lane for sure with all that stuff, and I'm pretty sure later you're gonna tell me more stuff that we probably
Well,
didn't even get to on that too.
yeah. Hopefully, I didn't ramble on too much. I tend to do that
Nah, you're
lately.
good, bro. You're good, and that's dope,
You
man.
gotta
I'm
gotta
glad.
represent for Rockstar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm glad you got the support because it's important, man, when you have your wife or significant other to support, what you're into, what you're doing, man, because you want to be able to have a free mind when you're creating, you know?
Well, that and brothers in Sprue. I mean, well, let's be honest. I'll say it again, and I mean it. I wouldn't be building right now if it weren't for, I hate to say it, social media, but realistically, more so the group that I've gotten to be a part of, and with the guys out of that group, the FFAFF group, and then in my Sprue Butcher brothers. I can't tell you enough. That type of inspiration is more than anybody could ask for.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I showed the rendering to you. This James Laga. This is what got me to build that 56. That car doesn't exist. That's a Photoshop.
Damn, I was gonna say, is that the model? Man.
No, no, that's the model. That's the rendering.
Yeah, man. That's pretty neat. You got it like precise right there.
Yeah, that was a labor of love. Believe me.
Yeah. Dang.
And the interior
Yeah.
on that was another stretch
That
for
was a
me.
whole another thing. Yeah.
Ugh. But
That's
anywho, my friend.
no, awesome. Well, I'll post your link on Instagram on the descriptions for the listeners and viewers out there, where to find. And Dave check out his work on Instagram. That'd be pretty cool. And I hope to see you soon, man, at a show
Hell
within
yeah,
a couple weeks.
absolutely.
Within a
In
couple
a
weeks,
couple of weeks, we'll see it. We'll see it at
we
the
see each
SoCal
other.
Open.
Yeah.
I am trying to get, and I'm going to say this to everybody that's listening, and for those who are going to watch this later, if you can make it to Santa Maria and get to the car show, the model contest is on Saturday. I'd like to start filling the tables back up. It's been kind of lean the last couple of years, well, obviously with COVID and whatnot. So I know Willie was talking about possibly going out. So if any of you other guys are going to go, make the trip. I know it's Santa Maria. For most of you guys in LA, that's a 3.5 hour trip, no matter how you slice it. It's 2 hours for me. But it's a good show. It's a great guy that runs it. I like to support him.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll spread word on the flyer too on Instagram for
Cool.
that event. And that'd be dope if Willie would go get some coverage for the magazine.
I would love to. I'm gonna talk to him probably. Well, I'll talk to him at the show.
We'll be there. Oh, and also, if in case you come across the flyers for the September show, bring them.
I'll be talking to them on Saturday, so I'll see if they got flyers ready to go.
If they have some, bring me like a stack. That'd be dope.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that. We'll make that work for sure. Cool. If not, I'll get the PDF and print it and print the stuff out.
Okay, awesome.
So yeah, hell yeah.
Dope. Well, thank you, Dave. I hope you have a good night. It was a pleasure, man, talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Hell yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and as always, keep doing what you do.
Yeah, man.
The podcast and supporting the culture.
Oh, thank you. I mean,
it's very cool stuff.
No, thanks, man. Yeah, I gotta keep it up. So right on, dude.
Well, again, you're gonna reach people that, like you didn't know there were hobby shops in your local area until somebody said, "Hey, check this out." Well, that's what you're doing. You're gonna reach some kid who digs the lowrider culture, the hot rod culture, the tuner culture, the JDMs. You're gonna reach somebody, and it's gonna spark a fire, and that's what you're doing for the hobby, and that's a beautiful thing.
Dang, that's dope. Thanks, man. Thanks for saying it like that. I didn't really think about it that way, but now that's gonna fuel me even more because I remember that
you're exposing people to what other guys are doing. I mean, you've got talent on this show that most people will never. Most kids, most people who think about hobbies, they don't know how in depth these people get. They don't. It's going to expose people to this. It's a beautiful thing.
Dang, thanks, man. No, thank you. Well, we'll keep cranking out the episodes for sure.
Hell yeah, keep it up.
I look forward to seeing your work too. So
I just keep following on Instagram. If I make the cut and I make it to the end, great. If I don't, this will be finished.
Yeah, in the future, there'll be a future.
Yeah, I will be doing hard lines for the airbags, and I don't ever not do detail. So, and that's why it takes forever for me to build anything.
Yeah,
I get stupid picky.
Nah, it's all good, man.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Well, you have a good night. And thank you also to the listeners and the viewers that were in the live chat as well. Shout outs to all of them. So
beautiful.
All right, cool. Well, this is 65 Lokes saying goodbye, episode 213 here with Dave. All right, guys. Peace out.